That's what true dance is. That's what the art is. You're taking something that is so difficult physically to do, and you're making it sing. You're making it be something that the person watching you just goes, oh my God.
Do it again.
Welcome to BalletWise. My name is Michael Wise. I'm your host and creator. Now, this entire series has been created to help you be a better dancer. Whether you're a student, a teacher, whether you're a young professional, or whether you're an old veteran in this industry, I'm hoping that I can bring sound advice to help you become the better dancer. Now, I myself have had a long, illustrious career. I'm the first American male to have ever been a principal dancer in the Soviet Union in Moscow. I've danced all over Europe. I've danced all over the United States. I've been in big companies, small companies, middle-sized companies, good ones and bad ones. And I hope that my advice and my experiences can help you move beyond where you are as a dancer. Now, to get you to understand, I am not a medical professional. I am just an individual that has had a lot of experiences in this industry. I've had the opportunity to help multiple people move on into their professional careers, and I've also helped professionals navigate this industry and rise to the top of their game. So please understand that this is an advice-based program and that I am not a medical professional. So let's get started with today. Today, we received a notification from someone who was asking just the very general question, how do I be a better dancer? Well, there are a lot of different things that go into answering that question. But let's try to break it down in a very concise way. There are always two parts to you being a better dancer. There's what happens in the studio, and then there's what happens on the stage. Now, there is a little bit of an overlap of those two things, but we're going to go through all of this. So, starting number one, studio. Let's go over studio etiquette first and foremost. One, we should always look professional. Gentlemen and ladies, you should always have clean looking attire. You should always have your hair in a proper way. It should never be in your face. If you have jewelry of any sorts, it should not be dangling. It should not be moving. Those are just kind of general etiquette things that we all should understand. If you have a dress code, make sure you follow it. You don't want to create problems where there don't need to be any problems. When you're in the studio, make sure that if you walk in and you see some studios, they have assigned places. Other studios, it's just open. Sometimes it's unknowing assigned places. So you need to be aware when you walk into that studio where you should be standing. Now, once you're at that bar, you want to try to keep the chit-chat to a very minimal level. It doesn't mean you cannot be polite and cordial, and it doesn't mean you can't have some basic conversations. But once that teacher walks into that studio, it's silence. You're there to get business done. That teacher is there to help you get that business done. Now, when you're standing at the bar, you need to be thinking about yourself. Not the person next to you, not the person behind you, not your mother, not your father, not your dog or cat. You need to be focusing on yourself. Because ballet is an art form that is based on the individual. We just happen to do it in a very communal way with others. But when you're working at the bar, always pay very close attention to how the teacher is using their port-de-bras. What is their head movement? What is their hand movement? Because that shows that you're paying attention to the details. When you're working at the bar, your goal is for you, no one else, but you to be the best dancer you can be. That means how you use your breath. Are you breathing within your plies, or are you holding your breath? These are all critical things that kind of show the difference between a high-end student and a low-end student. Focus on your posture, long backs. Make sure your hips are completely underneath you. The easiest way to understand where your hips are is the front of your stomach going all the way down into your thighs should be flat. If there is any incline in either direction, your hips are either too far forward or they're too far back. And your hips are going to radiate out throughout your entire body. And that's something that's very important. And I constantly am having to correct that on high-end students that have come from other schools, on professional dancers that do not get those types of corrections. And we are talking top-tier principals. No matter where you are within being the student or the young pre-professional or the professional, there is one thing that holds all of us together. We will always be the student. Remember, we are not ballet. We are just stewards of this art form. We are always learning, and we are always striving to perfect that art form. The idea of perfection is limited. So don't limit yourself. Our goal is to be perfect, but we don't make that the only reason why we dance. The closer you get to perfection with your technique, it allows you to articulate that technique into other areas, into your performance, into using your emotions, into creating the performance that you've always wanted. That's why when you look at top-tier professionals, their technique is at a level that they can really use it and manipulate it and use it to say something. Where when you're a student, you're just trying to get the grasp of doing it right. And these are all very important things. Now remember, as a dancer, the only way we grow is by working on ourselves and our technique. It's not by bashing someone else. It's not by bullying or being mean. We will all grow at our own individual levels. Some of us need a little bit more time because we all grow at different rates. And it is not uncommon for me to have a student that accelerates at an incredible level, but then they hit a brick wall. And that one student that was probably being beaten up a little bit by the really good ones, over time overtakes them. So be aware that our goal here is to uplift our fellow students, not to tear them down. The environment that we create in a studio is either going to lend towards success or failure. Don't be the reason why there's failure. I have a saying, you only have two options when you're working. You either working on it or you got it. There is, I can't, I won't. No, none of that. Remove the negativity. Work in a way where you understand, I am working on it. There's no shame in that. That says an awful lot about you. You haven't given up, that you're moving forward. But when you say you got it, you've got to prove it. You've got to be in a position where you can look at that teacher or you can look at another person and you just can pull it out and nail it. Because if you think in that way, you're always moving forward. You're always going to be gaining ground. Even when you may need to go back to correct a mistake, you're not moving backwards. You're taking a step back, but your progression is still moving forward. And that's very important because we're going to have those days where you're going to walk into the studio and nothing works. I've done it. The first time, well, no, not the first time, but the first time on stage, I did 10 pirouettes. Gorgeous, nailed it. The ballet master looked right at me, shook his head with confidence. I had done it. The very next day, I fell out of 2 pirouettes and they ripped my head off. So we all have bad days. We are all going to make mistakes. Don't look at a mistake like it's the end of the world. It's not. It's a step towards being successful. If we don't make the mistakes, we don't know what we need to work on. So don't let it belittle you or tear you down. Because part of being a student is you are learning. You're not ready to be a professional dancer. Now, it is okay to hold yourself to that professional standard. I know personally for myself, at 10 years of age, I wanted to be one of the best male dancers on the planet. Every day I went into that class, I always knew I was going to reach that goal. Just wasn't there today. When I had a really, really bad day, I'm like, well, we'll just kind of count this one as a mulligan. If you don't know what a mulligan is, it's in golf. It's when you basically pick the ball up and throw it and just count it as something good. The whole point is we're going to have good days and bad days in the studio. If you are the student and you feel like other people are making fun of you or they're giving you dirty looks, you're probably doing something right. You're probably the kind of person that they envy. Not that you're a bad person. Remember what I said? When you start class, you focus on yourself. You don't focus on others. When you're doing your combinations in the center or at the bar, you should be 100% focused on you, your job, and what you need to do. Not Susie over here in the corner. Because there's always going to be a Susan. There's always going to be someone there that's going to be looking at you and is going to want to tear you down. Don't listen to them. Why? Because you have your own future. You are your own dancer. It doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what you do. Can you inspire others? Because that's the best success you can have. If you've got people in class that are tearing you down, be successful. That's the best revenge ever. You prove them wrong. But if you let that eat at you, it's going to tear you up. If you have a teacher that's constantly berating you or trying to tear you down, maybe it's time to find a new teacher. Because toxic environments will affect how you progress as a student, and it will affect your technique. If you're in a classroom, whether it's the teacher or the students, you need to rectify that. Now, if you have a good teacher that is encouraging and uplifting, and you have individuals in your class that are becoming a problem, it's okay to step aside with the teacher and say, hey, I'm having this issue. Because that teacher is there not just to teach you ballet, but also to help you become a better person. You're always going to find the negative people in this industry. You're always going to find people that are going to make fun of you. You're always going to find people that are going to disagree with you. That's called life. No matter what job you will have, no matter where you go, there will always be those people. And what we should do, we should get angry with them. We should pity them. We should look at them and be sad. Because you're living your life. You're becoming the dancer you've always wanted to be. You're building your technique. You're working to the absolute limit that you can. You're pulling up until it hurts. You're turning out in ways that every single day you're worried about a muscle cramping. You're pointing your feet. You're hitting those good fifth positions. You're following the good port de bras. You're being a good student. And sometimes that aggravates others because you're being successful and they're not. Now, whether you're that pre-professional, you're right on the cusp of graduating, you're about ready to start going out and doing your first auditions or looking for an apprenticeship or going into a graduate program or even going off to college for dance, these things should follow you through whatever you do. When you're polite, when you're courteous, when you're the hardest person in that class working, you will set a standard for others. I have a student of mine who graduated from an excellent college that's very dance oriented. For 2 years, she was just one of many. She came to me in the middle of the summer, and I started working with her. And she went back for her senior year and owned it. She became the dancer that she was meant to become because of the way she worked, the confidence she had, the fact that she pushed the envelope with every single thing she did. Those are the qualities that we have to have as a student to excel. These are the qualities that we show companies because they then can see the promise of what we will become. So it doesn't matter where you are in this, whether you're the beginner student, the advanced level student, the young professional, or whether you're the old veteran. Respect of others, kindness, helping people rise to the task. Those are all qualities that are admired and they are lacking in the industry. There's a rule that I quite often I have a tendency to break because I didn't even know the rule existed. I would go in the center when it was my turn to do a particular combination, and it didn't matter who was in that group. I would do it to the absolute best that I could. And my lovely wife has told me multiple times the reason why I made principal in 6 months was because I would make other principal dancers look bad. It's not my fault. I'm there to do my job. I go out there and I do the best I can. It's not my fault they couldn't do the same. You've got to keep that mindset. You've got to have that mentality. Walk into the room. Look who the best dancers are. And make the decision that you're going to be as good. And rise to that level. It doesn't mean that you're going to tear those people down. It means you're going to raise yourself. It doesn't matter if they like you. It doesn't matter if they love you. It doesn't matter anything. What matters is that you will learn to raise your standards and become a better dancer. Now, these are all important, but if we only focus in this one area, it basically tells us that we will become a technician. A technician is not a dancer. I'm trying to tell you about how you should work, how you help create the atmosphere that is going to allow you to work at your highest level, and talking about the negativity that can be found and how we can change that. But there's also another aspect that allows us to become the dancer. And it's the mental. It's where you put your personality and your passion into it. Now, we've already done one of these videos on regards of how to be able to kind of take yourself to that next level. How to do more with your dancing. When somebody asks you that question, I want more from you, how do you answer it? I've got an entire video that just talks about that in depth. Now I'm going to go over some of those things right now. But if you want more about understanding the mental and the passion and the way to take your dancing and say something with it, go and check that video out. If you have a question, always leave a comment. We will always try to answer them. But to not be a technician requires you to understand that dance is a spectrum. You have a disciplined side and you have a chaotic side. Now, we're all somewhere on this range. But everything we've been talking about up to this point is all about discipline. It's your technique. It's the language you are learning. The chaotic side is what you say with that language. What does that tandu mean? It can change. The meaning of that tandu can change based off the music, based off of you, what you're going through in your life, based off of how you feel. We all know that when we're in a class and you'll have some tandu combinations that are very slow and soft and others that are very sharp and poignant. Well, they have two different personalities. So if you don't reflect those personalities in the movement, it's just boring technique. You don't want to live at only one side of the spectrum. You want to be a complete dancer. A complete dancer understands that there is a difference between technique and dancing. Dancing is taking our technique and saying something with it. It is letting our personalities come out in our movement. It is letting our passion come out of the movement. It allows us to tell stories with our movement. Now, on that spectrum, you're going to have some people who are going to have comfort levels on either side. I personally am more comfortable on the chaotic side. There are others that are going to just wallow in the technique. To get me to do the technique, you had to pull me back kicking and screaming. Other people who are complete technicians are going to have to be pulled kicking and screaming into the chaotic side because that's what creates the art. It is that marriage of that discipline and chaos into this perfect package. That's what true dance is. That's what the art is. You're taking something that is so difficult physically to do, and you're making it sing. You're making it be something that the person watching you just goes, oh my God. But you've got to reflect it not just in your body, but in your face. You have to be animated. Now, I know we probably all did this as small children, and you don't need to be embarrassed about it. When you used to stand in front of a mirror and make faces, I still do it. I'm not some 4-year-old. I might act like it sometimes, but that's not who I am. But the ability to have that imagination, that ability to change the way your face is a skill that you need to have. Don't lose your imagination. Learn to take what you do in class and play with it. Take that pirouette. Figure out what else you can do in it. In Moscow, one of the things that we used to love to do after class is we go in the corner and do pirouette contests. And when that got boring, we do a contest of how many pirouettes can you do while you take your sweatshirt off. That's stupid. But it was awesome. It was a blast. We used to laugh our heads off. But believe it or not, we were getting better as dancers because we were doing it. We were able to move our arms and manipulate our bodies in a way to take that sweatshirt off and never fall off our leg. When that got easy, then we started doing take your sweatshirt off and your sweatpants down to your ankle. Now, you've all seen those pirouettes where people do them in a plie. Guess what? We were doing that for fun. We were learning to do that for fun. It was chaotic in the best way possible. It was a goof fest. We were having fun. If you cannot do that, you need to find it, create it. Grab your friends and say, hey, I'll try this. Because that opens you up, that allows you to start to feel, to have fun, to laugh. There's something to be said about being able to do your petit allegro while you're actually having a giggle. It makes it so much more fun. I danced because it was a blast. It was fun. It was everything I ever wanted. That's why I did it. It was my playground. It was my stage. It was my voice. And I got to do it on some of the greatest stages on the planet. I got to walk on stages where my idols danced, where I got to take that time and go, whoa, I'm not worthy. And I want you to have those opportunities. But if you're not able to feel, how will you understand that you're standing on the stage where greatness has always been? And now you get to add your name to that checklist. That's where your passion comes in. It's your passion for life. It's your passion for the art form you're doing. But if you can't reflect it, if you can't open yourself up, then you're going to be lacking. I was the kid they always told to do less, not more. If you're the kid that constantly is being told, I need more from you, then you need to find a way to bring yourself into that. More passion. Go overboard. Have fun. That's what's going to make you a better dancer. If you're the professional and your technique is probably beautiful, but if you don't feel, if you can't reflect it in your face, if you can't show that love and that passion in a way that feels real for you, how do you expect your audience to feel it? It doesn't matter if you're an 8-year-old young dancer or you're a 30-year-old dancer. All of this still applies. You could be near the end of your career, but you're still a student. You're still learning. You're still trying to understand. But if you let the discipline side, the technical side, the class side of you dominate, and you lose your imagination, and you lose your personality in it, you are removing dance from what you're doing. Dance has been around long before ballet, and it will be long after. You have tribes throughout the world that all they need is a beat and they're moving. We've all had those situations where you see somebody over in the corner and they got their eyes closed and they're jamming out. That's dance. That's the real thing. But the difference with ballet is because it is such an articulated art form. We have to bring that freedom into it. It's that perfect marriage of the discipline, but finding freedom within it. Bringing that chaos into it. But without it, people are going to be left going, I want more from you. I want to see more. And you may never be able to reach your full potential. You may never reach your dream. If you are one of those dancers that can marry those two together, you will be in demand. You will be given opportunities that no one else will be given. I used to always have a saying, because I believed in myself and I believed in what I could do, that I always used to say this to people. When I'm given an opportunity, I feel bad for the person who gets it after me, because I'm going to blow it out of the water. Why? Because I'm going to put every bit of myself into it. It doesn't matter what that character is. It doesn't matter. It's dance. It's who I am. I get to find facets of my own personality I didn't even know were there. Doesn't mean that's who I am, but there's a part of me that is that. Dance is so much more than just the tendu or the plie. Yes, we have to have that disciplined mannerisms. We have to work in a particular way to reach our goals. But if we don't allow ourselves to play, allow ourselves to have fun, allow ourselves to feel, we aren't dancing. At some point, you should just take a variation or a routine that you've learned and do it as if you're a cartoon character. Have fun. I had one student that could do this one particular classical variation, and it was gorgeous, but boring. But one day we were having fun, and we told her, hey, do it like you're Minnie Mouse. That was the first time we felt her dance, because she played. She became something else. It was a moment for her. So use these tools. Take your dancing and have fun with it. Don't let other people drag you down. You be the light in that room for others. And if you continue to grow, the people that are around you will continue to grow. But please don't be in a position where you're being battered and berated, because you'll never reach your potential at all. You'll never be able to see what you really will become as a dancer. Now, I hope this has kind of given you a pathway, an understanding. Now, I know there's a lot more that I could say. There's a lot more within this, but I feel like this is a great way for you to get started and to understand what path you need to be on and maybe what changes you need to make. Maybe you're the kid that just goofs off a little bit too much in class. That was me. It wasn't later until I finally was able to buckle down. Or I had a great teacher that knew exactly how to manipulate me for me just to be like, ooh, I need to prove myself to this teacher. And then I would do it better than everyone else because I'd attack it. These are all things you need to find in yourself. We are not boring people. You are not a boring person. We have to let the world see that we have so much to offer. But our language to do it is movement. It's dance. You don't want to be the person with the really big personality outside of the studio and no personality in it. Your dancing should never be boring. I've even been in the position where I've gotten yelled at and been told, stop performing and work on the technique. I didn't even understand what that person said. To me, that did not register, because to me, the performance, the acting, the playing, the goofiness, the chaos is an integral part of my dancing. You'll see it in the way I do my tendus. You'll see it when I do a grand plie. You will see it in every part of my life. My own mother said I looked more at home on stage the first time she saw me than I do in real life. That's what I mean. The stage is our megaphone. Those are things that we have to find for ourselves. Now, I'm doing this and I'm saying these things to help you, the dancer, the professional, or even the teacher that's trying to pull this out and they're young. But I'm not going to be able to continue to do this unless you leave comments, ask your questions. Because I'm not going anywhere. I want to make the ballet world richer and fuller. I want this beautiful language that we've all learned and studied to be sung with praises when we dance. It doesn't matter. Perfection is something we strive for, but perfection is the marriage of the chaos and that discipline. And no matter where you are in your journey as a dancer, these are tools that you have to learn to understand and use. So if you like this content, like it. If you want to hear more from us and focus on subject matter that really can help you, subscribe and leave a comment. Help us help you. My career's over. My job now is to help others reach those same experiences, to raise themselves to being amazing dancers. Because I can't jump and move and turn like I used to. I'm getting old. And I want to leave this world in a better place than it was when I got here. And I can do that through dance. I can do that through helping you. I don't own ballet. I'm just a steward of it. And my goal is to give that gift to others and raise those up. So, remember, leave your comments, ask your questions, give us a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and we hope that this has helped you. And I hope we have an opportunity to meet again, to talk about some of the difficult subjects that we need to hear, and understand that as long as we are dancing, it's going to be okay. I hope to see you the next time. I'm Michael Wise from BalletWise, and I hope you have a wonderful day.